Okay, this one is going to be Endo 1 for skills, and the first steps are always going to be the same. We're going to use the mirror and explorer, and then we're going to give them anesthetic. And there's the topical anesthetic, and then we would have the aspirating syringe, and the blue would be for maxillary, the yellow would be mandibular. Once they're numb, we're going to use the high-speed handpiece, and that has water coming out, so you'd use the HVE, and then the slow-speed handpiece, and again, you'd use the HVE. The next step is the dentist needs to locate where the nerve of the tooth is. So they're going to use what's called the Endo Explorer. It's very sharp and pointy. It is double-ended, and they're going to put that in the tooth, and they're going to locate where the canals are. So for instance, if you were on centrals, laterals, or canines, you're only going to have one nerve, but once you get to molars, there could be 2 or 3 roots that are present, so you would have 2 or 3 holes you're trying to access. Then what we're going to do is use the files. The files look like little tiny screws, and they're numbered. Some are smaller than the others, so if we start at a 10, it's going to be really fine. If we go up to the black one that says 80, you can see that it is actually really large, really thick. So the dentist is going to use that, and that's what's going to be used to remove the nerve. So they'll start at a 10, they'll go up to 15 or 20, and then they're going to need to rinse out those canals. So we're going to use that disposable syringe, and you are going to have sodium hypochlorite in it. That is actually bleach water. You never want to say that in front of the patient, but you would have a cup of half bleach, half water, and that's what you used. You will have the HVE right on top of that tooth because you do not want the bleach in the patient's mouth anywhere other than the canals itself. Then we're going to go back to filing. We're going to file some more. Once the dentist feels like they've reached the apex of the tooth, they will leave the file in the tooth, and then they will take an x-ray. So if the x-ray shows that that file has been all the way down to the apex, then we're good to go. He'll take the file out, they will do a final rinse with sodium hypochlorite, and then the next step will be to dry the canals out. So you will have in one hand the paper points. They look like little pieces of cardboard, and those are they're absorbent points, that's another word for it, and they're actually going to dry it out. So the dentist will go through several of these until it comes out and it is dry. Now the next step is to use a master cone gutta percha. So when you look at these master cone, you'll see there's different colors on the end. So basically whatever size file we filed to, so if, say we got to a size 50 file, we're going to use a size 50 master cone. That might be the green. The blue might be an 80. It just depends on what color, or it depends on what size you filed the canals to. So we're going to use a master cone gutta percha. The dentist will use the cotton pliers again, and then they're going to run it through endo sealer. That is going to be a 2-part system. You just mix them together. So it's kind of like a cement. Once that's used, now we need to fill the rest of the root of the tooth up with regular gutta percha. And it's pink as well. There's no color codings though on the ends. They all look like that. So the dentist will already have the cotton pliers in their hand, and you're going to be passing that gutta percha back and forth. Now we need to push the gutta percha down into the canal, so this is where we use the endo spreader. It is very sharp and pointy, kind of reminds me of the Endo Explorer, only it is one-ended. You can see the other end has nothing on it. Endo spreader. So at this point, you're going to have gutta percha sticking out on the occlusal of the tooth. So what we need to do now is burn it off. So we use what's called a double-ended glick. It kind of looks like a cone. It is not sharp and pointy. It looks like a plugger on the end where it's flat. You're going to heat this up with like a Bunsen burner or some kind of flame that the office has, and you're going to pass that to the dentist. The dentist is going to use that to scrape. It basically burns off the excess gutta percha. When he's doing that, there's smoke coming out, so you're going to have the HVE right there so that the patient doesn't smell any smoke. Now at this point, that tooth is actually sealed off. That gutta percha that just got burnt, it's sealing it all off. But now we want to put a piece of cotton, it's just like a little cotton ball, into the tooth, just like that. And then we're going to put Cavit, which is a temporary filling material, or you could mix IRM, the other temporary filling, and that's what's going to go in their mouth. The reason why we put a piece of cotton is so that when the general dentist, after you get a root canal, you go back to the dentist and they have to put a permanent filling in. And we do not want them to drill into the actual gutta percha. So that's why that cotton is there. when the high-speed handpiece is being used at the second appointment, when it reaches that cotton, it will spin up around on that burr, and the dentist knows that they're done. So back to Endo 1, once you have the cotton and cavit in there, they'll still check the bite, make sure it's okay. We don't want to, we don't want them to hit hard on that tooth at all. And then the instructions for the patient is to not eat anything at all hard on that side of their mouth until they come in and get the permanent restoration. Otherwise, they could split that tooth right in half, and all that money just went down the drain. So, again, that's Endo 1.